Hello, friends. Welcome to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host, Julie Jancis. I am an angel messenger. I have the ability, when my dad passed away, I started hearing from him before I even knew he was gone. And if you're new to the podcast, definitely start with episodes 1, 2, and 3 because you'll hear that background story of how I started hearing from my dad. You'll really hear the fundamentals and terminology of everything that we talk about here on the podcast. Now, today I want to talk about a couple of different things. You have a lot of questions for me, and I am going to start to answer some of those questions on today's podcast. But before we get into that, yesterday I had a session with a mom. And very soon into the session, most of you know that when I do my session, I do 3 things in my session. And it doesn't matter if you're in person, if you are remote, via distance, on the phone, on FaceTime, on Skype. I do my sessions in this chronological order this way that I'm going to share with you because Spirit says it's the way that brings the best information to you. So what I do in a session is I give people some background information. And while that background information is coming through my mouth, I am receiving information from people who are there on the other side. And normally they just kind of chill out and they wait until I get through that information and through the meditation. So I do a very short 2-minute meditation with all of my clients because I want to tune my clients' energy, their vibration to my high vibration so that they feel what high vibration is, that I'm sure that they felt it. Because when they feel it, they can go home and do that meditation for themselves. And really, that's their homework, right? Because when you can get into high vibration for yourself, when you can connect to that energy of all that is, what happens is then you turn on your intuition switch higher. You can hear more of your intuition. You can connect more clearly with your guides, your loved ones on the other side. And it's so important because all of the answers that you will ever need in your entire life, the only tool that you really need is learning how to get into that high vibration. Because when you're in that high vibrational state, you're able to connect to that intuition. You're able to connect with your angels, your guides, your loved ones. And from that place, you can get to any answer that you need in the future. And Spirit just highlights how important that is for you. The third thing that I do in a session is I have somebody lay fully clothed on a massage table and they've got nice comfy blankets over them, keeping them warm. And I go through the Reiki hand positions, laying hands on the body as I am bringing through messages. And if I'm doing this for you distance, if you're not here in Illinois, what I do is I imagine that you're right there as I walk through those chakra points in order to help clear out your chakras while I'm simultaneously bringing through messages from your angels, guides, and loved ones on the other side. So what happened yesterday is I had this mom come in and I truly don't even know the names of people typically until they walk into my office. I do that on purpose. I pray for everyone in the morning, but I pray for them as sessions 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, because I don't want to be swayed by what information has come through before for you if you've come multiple times. I just really want to focus on your soul, where your soul is at right now, who's on the other side that's really coming through, because sometimes it's new people and bringing through the messages that they have for you. So I'm in session yesterday with this woman that came in, and it turns out that she's a mom, and she has a son on the other side who passed in a fire. Now, my friends, when I bring through spirit, it doesn't scare me because they don't live with me, right? Spirit lives with you in your auric field. They're tied to your soul's energy. And so I don't ever have them follow me after a session, right? When a session is done, they leave with you. Well, that was not the case yesterday. In the case yesterday, I had this energy stay with me of this gentleman who passed in his later 30s in a fire. And he has been with me all last night, all this morning. And why he's here is for me to bring through a message on this podcast today. And he said, I need people to know and to hear on this podcast that people still do pass away from fires. And it's not to scare you. It's just for you to understand that as we come into this next winter, don't leave candles unattended. Don't leave fire unattended. And when possible, he said, do not have unnecessary fire in your house. I know that some people like to have different things going on, fireplaces going and whatnot. But as a person who works with the other side every day, let me tell you, he's right in that it's a message that people just need to hear. Don't leave those candles unattended. And when you can, trade real fire for stuff that doesn't have those flames. There are candles now that you can burn without fire. You just light up, you get one of these bases that lights up, and it lights up through electricity, so it just gets warm and it melts the wax on top of it. And actually, those things, they say that they last for 3 days, but I've got some that I've burned for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's like it doesn't run out, right? There are fireplaces that you can put in place of your fireplace that you just turn on with a switch. The other thing that I'm really hearing very clearly from him is watch out for outlets. There are some people who are buying very, very cheap pieces that plug into the outlet, and then we're putting our phone cords in them, and there are fires happening that way. And so I just want you to be safe. I'm not trying to instill fear, but in order to release this gentleman's energy from the other side, because this doesn't typically happen. When somebody leaves a session, their loved ones leave with them. But I really worked with him over the last night and morning, and I know that he's here for me to bring this message through to the podcast, and then he'll release his energy. Because I told him, I said, why fire? Because I looked it up. In 2017, there were 3,645 deaths from fires. I said, there's other people who pass from so many more things in bigger quantities, like heart disease. So I went in and I looked this up. Heart disease, there's 635,000 passings a year. Cancer, 598,000 a year. Accidents, injuries, 161,000 a year. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, 154,000 a year. The other big ones are stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, influenza and pneumonia, kidney disease, and actually suicide was a lot higher than I thought it was. 44,965 deaths a year. So when this person was in my energy field, I'm like, why? Why do you want me to bring this through? I don't like to bring through fear on the podcast. And he said, it's not about fear. It's about prevention. It's about helping, even if it's one of you out there, from stopping a fire. And so I'm sorry, but I had to bring this up today in order to release his energy. And thank you just for being patient with that and listening. Friends, last weekend was the Angel School, and I was just so amazed. We had so many amazing students and volunteers. A big shout out and thank you to all of the volunteers who helped. There were over 33 volunteers. During the angel school, what's always so amazing to me, I think it's the part that I just love the most, is that when I teach the students how to feel the difference between the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, the energy in the throat chakra, the energy in the heart chakra, the energy in the solar plexus, it is all so vastly different. And what you're doing is either holding your hand above the person's body or placing your hand gently resting on their body in order to feel the energy of the volunteer. And when you get into all of these different chakras, it is 100% different in each area. It's incredible. The other thing that's incredible is that you can feel the difference when you are communicating with an angel versus when you are communicating with a loved one on the other side. And for students, shock and awe just on their face when they get into this and they feel the difference. And then they start working with the volunteers right away. And a lot of people get really scared about this, my students, and they're like, "You're throwing us into the deep end." And I say, it's the only way to do it, because I need you to know that you can do this, and I need you to be able to get over your egoic mind quickly. And all of them got that after the first round of volunteers that they worked with, because in each one of those cases, they were able to bring through very specific information. And I'm actually going to have a couple of students on the podcast because they were like angel story after angel story after angel story that were coming out during the angel school while students were working on these volunteers. It was just so beautiful. At the end of the angel school, what I do is ask for feedback. And what the students all said was tell people on the podcast that the angel school is great for us too because of how empathic we are, how highly sensitive we are. And they said, I never knew how to work with energy this way. And being an empathic person, this has changed my life. That was the biggest compliment of the angel school, is when people said it was life-changing. And they said empaths need to know that this is a great place for them to come and learn how to work with energy, how to work with those on the other side. They said because it's going to help them so much in their daily life to be able to understand their energy, the energy of others, and how to keep them separate so that they're not absorbing, taking on all of that. So thank you to all of our students for coming to the Angel School. Thank you to all of our 33 volunteers for helping out and letting us work on you over the last week. You have been incredible. There's another Angel School coming up in November, and there are only 4 more spots. So if you have not registered, if you haven't put down your deposit, please get in contact with me, because we're either going to have to get a bigger room or I'm going to have to open up more dates. And there's enough people who have already asked me to do a January Angel School in person that I think I'm going to open that up as well. So if you want to register for November, or I'm already registering people for January, please get in touch with me and let me know. All of my contact information is in the show notes. Okay, let's get to some questions and answers. Now remember, friends, if you want, you can jump over to social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook with a Facebook page. I also have a Facebook group over there called Angels and Awakening Podcast Tribe. And in that group on Facebook, we really get into stuff that we're not getting into over here on the podcast. We're really diving a little deeper. So if you want to connect with us over there, you can. You can also ask questions any of those 3 places. You can find me at Angel Podcast. That's just the @ sign and then Angel Podcast, because that's where a lot of these questions came in. And I save them so that we can talk about them right here on the podcast. I'm not going to read the names of who sent these because I don't know who wants to be anonymous and who doesn't, but I am going to read the email so that you understand the question. This one says, I recently started listening to your podcast after suffering a miscarriage in the beginning of the month. It was my first pregnancy, and my husband and I felt that it was the perfect time and happened through fate. After discovering that the baby had passed away, I was shattered. I am working to rebuild my faith in the universe and believing that there is a lesson in everything, and I will have my baby someday. I wonder, is there anything Spirit has told you or showed you about miscarriage? Why does it happen? Where do they go? If their spirit will carry over to the next pregnancy. I know this is specific and a rather depressing topic, so I'm not sure if you would address this on the podcast, but I figured I'd give it a shot. Well, first, I am just so sorry for everything that you have been through. You know, the mother that I had in my office yesterday looked up at me at the end of her session and she said, I'm so grateful that you do this, but I don't know how you do this work, to work with people who are grieving every single day. And that is a really hard part of this job. There is a ton that Spirit shows me on the other side, but I don't have access to all of it. If you could think of it as the other side is infinite, right? There is an infinite amount to see, and yet I only have access to so much. What Spirit does show me regarding miscarriage is that it's different in every single instance. What we have to understand is that there is free will here on earth. And a lot of people get this confused, but in order to really grasp the concept that I'm going to share with you, you have to understand and allow within your mind that two opposing things can be true at the same time, okay? So if there is no time on the other side, time is vertical on the other side, okay? Or circular. It's easier for our mind to grasp it that way. Really, though, there is no time on the other side. Here on Earth, time is linear. It's horizontal. It's chronological. And so when I mean two opposing things are true at the same time, sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their minds around. How can Spirit know what's going to happen in the future and us have free will at the same time? And my friends, what I have to tell you is that Spirit shows me that both of those things are true. You have free will. I have free will. Everyone here has free will. And yet, because there is no time on the other side, they can fast forward and say, this is what happens. This is what I choose of my free will. This is what this person chooses of their free will. And because of those choices, those free will choices, these are the outcomes. This is what happens here on Earth. So because we have free will, this is a huge word that pops up. It's almost as if the word free will flashes across your mind in a session when you're working with somebody who's been through this, because they need the mother to know that there have been choices in others' free will that have impacted the life they would have had here. So let's say that you're bringing through a baby soul, and that baby soul is here to work with other people down the road, their loved ones, their best friends, their soulmates, their kids here on Earth. And yet, not because of your doing, but because of the free will choices of other people, it impacts the life of the child you're carrying in utero. So what Spirit has shown me about miscarriage is that really a lot of it, most of it, comes down to timing and needing to be here at the right time. And you could say, well, Julie, if there is no time on the other side and they know what free will decisions we're going to make, why don't they just come in at a different time? And I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. All I can tell you is what they show me. And what they show me is that it comes down to timing. It comes down to those who we're supposed to work with in this life. And what they show me is that every single person's life has purpose. And even if that life is in utero and doesn't come to full term, there is still purpose there. It is impacting different timings here on earth as well. The other question that you asked is, where do they go? A lot of times what Spirit shows me is they go to the other side. And you also asked, will that spirit come over to the next pregnancy? And a lot of times the answer is yes. The timing wasn't right. That child will come through again in another pregnancy. But it's not 100% of the time. Sometimes they do go back to the other side. They fulfilled their purpose, even though it was such a short period of time here on earth, and they go over to the other side where they have their soulmate, their children on the other side. A lot of times that is what Spirit shows me when a child here passed on earth, no matter what the age, if they did not have a partner, a husband, a wife, or kids, that those kids are with them on the other side. So I know this is a really hard topic in general. I know that it's not an easy topic for us to think about, but Spirit does come through to always say that they're okay, that they're happy, they're healthy over there. They're so sorry for what we have to go through here, but they encourage us to reframe it within our mind, to know within our hearts that they had purpose here and to trust that. And they're saying right now to trust the love, that love connection is always there. Between mom and child, between dad and child. You know, I don't know if I've mentioned it here before on the podcast, but I know you know Elle had a lot of difficulties her first 6 months and really her first 3 years of life. And in those first 6 months, Blake and I were not sure if she was going to make it because she had coded a couple of times. Growing up my entire life, I had seen and felt the energy of a daughter coming through, but I had also seen and felt the energy of another child and always wanted to have 2 kids. And I am perfectly happy now with the decision that we've made to just have 1, but that was a really hard thing to go through for us because I grieved the loss of the second child I had imagined my entire life. And I know that with all of the lifetimes that we go through, there are so many more people in our soul family on the other side than we come with in this lifetime, right? We have more kids. We have so many more kids on the other side. And sometimes I do spend time with them. I do go into meditation, go into a meditative state and spend time with that child on the other side who I know we could have brought through here, but it just wasn't the right decision for our family. And we wanted to focus all of our love, all of our attention, all of our energy on Elle and making sure that she was happy, healthy, and perfectly taken care of here on earth. At the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you a little bit of tools to help you clear your energy today, help you connect with your angels, your guides, your loved ones on the other side. Friends, I don't ask you to support this podcast with a membership program or with Patreon. What I ask is that if this podcast resonates with you, if having an angel reading is something that you feel called to do, please go online and book an appointment with me. I offer 25 and 55-minute angel message readings. I also offer Reiki energy healing sessions. If that is something that you feel called to do with me, that's actually how I keep this podcast going, is you booking those sessions. So thank you so much for continuing to do that. You can book your reading or your energy healing session on my website, www.jancis.com. That's my last name.com. I've also got the Angel School coming back up in November. If the Angel School is something that you've been interested in doing, in learning how to bring through messages from loved ones and angels on the other side, and learning Reiki energy healing simultaneously at the same time, we do have the November Angel School on November 16th and 17th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. It'll be held at the Hilton Doubletree Hotel in Lisle, Illinois. That's right on the border of Lisle and Naperville, Illinois. And thank you so much for your support of the Angel School. It has gotten such a great response from you that we're actually looking at adding an in-person date in January. There are some people who live very far away in New Zealand, Australia, who would like to take the class remotely because it's just easier for them than flying in. There are other people who really don't mind and they want to fly in. It really is just dependent on the individual, and I respect whatever method you want to take. But in January, we definitely have an online version of the Angel School, and we're thinking about adding an in-person class as well. So if you want to take part in one of those, please let me know so that I can get you registered and on the list to save your spot. Friends, if you could be an angel, please write a 5-star review or just click 5 stars on this podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. But when you do review us, you leave a positive 5-star review, we enter you into a monthly drawing to win a free session with me. We're also going to be giving away 15 more free sessions in November, and we're planning a couple more cool things, but I can't tell you about it yet. It's top secret. It's all offered to those who are in the drawing. So you get entered into the drawing for every time you write a review. You can write one on iTunes, on Google. When you look up my name, Julie Jancis, you can also write one on our Facebook page. You can also be an angel by sharing this podcast with your friends and family. Just spreading the word helps so much. Friends, if you want a daily angel message, make sure that you're following us over on Instagram, Facebook, or our Facebook group. You can find us over there by typing in @AngelPodcast. That's the @Angel Podcast. The group name is Angels and Awakening Podcast Tribe. Over on the group, we post a weekly Facebook video. That is something that is not here on the podcast. It's different content. It's kind of more what's happening in my life as it relates to spirituality and the podcast. Friends, last but not least, if you have an angel story that you'd like to share, we would love to hear it. We are looking for your angel stories for you to either come on the podcast and share your story yourself, or for you to write us your story. If you don't want to read it, we would be happy to read it for you right here on the show. My friends, thank you so much for being here today. I want you to take a moment to just open up your heart. I want you to feel that energy surrounding your heart chakra. I want you to feel it opening and getting lighter. You could even see it as French doors opening within your heart, and you allowing love, peace, bliss, ease, grace, all to flow in to your being. I want you to know, my friends, that every single one of you has angels, guides, and loved ones on the other side who are cheering for you, who are rooting for you, who want nothing more than for you to be loved, for you to succeed, and for you to see your dreams come true here on earth. Are you talking to them? Are you spending time with them? Are you making time within your life to be still, to be quiet, and to listen to what your angels, guides, and loved ones are telling you? They're talking to you all the time. They just talk to us differently. It might not sound like their voice. It sounds like your own internal dialogue. It is your intuition. Your intuition is the tool that they use to communicate with you. So take some time to be silent, to be still, and to listen to the messages that they're trying to bring through to you right now. It's never negative. It's always positive. That's how you know it's them. And don't forget to ask them for help. The more that we ask our spirit team for help, the more that they can do for us. So get up in the morning and ask them to help you throughout your day. You can say that little prayer while you're getting ready for work, while you're getting ready for school. You just incorporate it into your daily routine. My friends, that is how you open up your heart to all of the unexpected blessings that your team is trying to bring into your life right now. Watch out for the signs because they're also bringing you those. Friends, I love you so much. They love you so much. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I feel so blessed to have you in my life. And I feel so blessed to be a tool that God can work through. Because believe me, friends, none of this is me. It is all spirit. I love you so much. They love you. Have a beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, incredible week. Make it a great week. Until next time, sending you peace, bliss, and many, many blessings.